You're listening to the Be So Good podcast with Colin Pearce. Colin says, you are 10 times better than you think. So why not be so good they can't ignore you? Here he is, Colin Pearce.
We spoke to the extraordinary Kirryn Zerna some time ago, and she told us how to become known. And she, of course, herself started out with not being known, and she had to work at how to become known herself so that she could help people to become known. And if you haven't seen that podcast, then look for it. It's headed Kirryn Zerna, and she's somebody who you need to get to know. Now, I promised that we would come back and talk to her again. And this time I'm going to ask her to explain her V.I.P principle about getting known, the sort of thing that she teaches to Allianz and the Walker Corporation, the New South Wales government, Aussie Home Loans, and lots of people in between. She's coached over 100 professionals. She's done this through 100 workshops in the last couple of years. She's helped 3,000 people become known. And those who followed her advice in the last podcast will know that she's right on the money. So welcome again, Kirryn Zerna.
Thank you very much, Colin. It's great to be back with your audience. And for those who have just joined us for the very first time, great to meet you. I think, as you say, get known. I think what I love to do is help business leaders, so people who want working within an organization or sales representatives or for business owners. So you really want to build the brand of your business. So how do I get known for my expertise and experience? And importantly, how do I grow? So how do I grow my network? How do I grow my influence? How do I grow my business? And particularly in this season of life as well, I'm looking at how do you do that online. And gosh, isn't that more important now than ever as attention has turned online? You know, there's no better time to make that really impressive digital first impression. So the first time I look you up, what do I find? And I think that's why this is also important.
Wow. See what I mean? See why she's back? I want to know all about the V.I.P principle, which is one of the big things you talk about. V.I.P. Now, I like that idea, but what do you use the acronym for to explain what aspects of getting known?
Yeah. And in the first one, I talked about, in its simple terms, how do I start? What do I do? It's like, who am I? What do I say? How do I say it? Who do I say it to? And really, the V.I.P principle is like a sort of a fancy packaging of that in a way. But, you think about the term V.I.P. Like, what do you think of when you think V.I.P? Like, very important person. You think of a celebrity. We're around about Olympics time. You think about the amazing Olympic swimmer or Olympic runner. What I'm interested in, Colin, though, is behind the scenes. When you go behind the scenes of one of those VIPs, there is a whole lot of work. You know that, I know that, like there's a whole lot of work. And so I guess there's a few strategies that people, celebrities, sports people, business people put into place to get to that point of being known as well. Would you agree with that? I love that quote that says sometimes it takes years for a person to become an overnight success. Has that been your experience, Colin?
Yes, I'm still waiting to become an overnight success, and I've been at it for 40 years. You've just got to plug away. Sometimes it's a matter of one foot up, 1 foot down, keep up the journey. So what do the letters in VIP stand for you?
Yes. So the V.I.P principle is about knowing your value. So what I mean by that is what is it that you offer, whether that is in terms of your products, your service, the value or usefulness of something that you do. And then how do you tell the story of that? So what's the value? And then how do you tell the story of that? The I is about identity. So knowing who you are, knowing your brand and why that's important. And the P is about purpose. So V is value, I is identity, and P is purpose. And so that is all about how do you get that, put that passion into action. And maybe for the sake of what we're going to talk about today, I might kind of go into value because I think that's really relevant right now. And like value, when it comes to value, what does that mean? Like, I think if you look at the context of today, what we value has changed. Would you agree? I think that, once upon a time, people would value me turning up, speaking at a conference, coming into their team, being able to deliver something online. And I think that's true for a lot of businesses out there as well, that what the customer's value has changed. So then as a business, if COVID's created this shift in what people value, what do our clients need right now? And I think that's an important question. Like, just for example, and you feel free to jump in anytime, I think a really cool case study of this is looking at what the alcohol companies have done, particularly around gin. You would have thought that people valued gin as the important thing. But what a lot of the alcohol companies did recently was it was about the production process and the distribution, because they weren't creating gin. Suddenly they shifted it into creating hand sanitizer. So what the valuable thing was the production and the distribution process. And so I just think there's been some interesting changes that people have taken. Like, for example, when, the whole world shut down last year, we all still wanted to tap into music, and so there was some amazing online concerts that we saw. So we still valued music. It's just that the way that it was offered had changed. We still valued exercise. So suddenly that all went online. There was also a really cool story in Melbourne, when Melbourne shut down late last year, that Jack's Tyre provided this amazing service where they could actually do a tyre check and do it all online, so you didn't have to come into the store. So I think what it is about when it comes to value, it's asking ourselves, what do your clients value? So, what are the different things that people need right now? Have you found that with some of your audience, or the people that you've come to work with, or even in your business, Colin? Asking that question, what do people value right now, and how can I deliver that?
Yes, it is. It is interesting because it's pinpointed or narrowed down the focus. Once upon a time, a person starting in business would ask advice and say, what do I do? I'd say, well, what do you do? Who are you? What did we mention this last time? Who are you, and what are the things that you contribute? And they kind of stare, and I say, well, look, you've created this wonderful coupling to go on a trailer to aid in the braking and the turning system. Who needs it? Oh, everybody. And they haven't really thought through who will use it. And it's a very narrow market. That their value is to an extremely small market. So when they put their ad on their website, they don't think about Joe or Joe S with the problem towing and braking on a double axle trailer. They just stick it up and say, this is a great product. We spent 10 years designing it, and we've got the parts from Germany, and that. It doesn't hit home because they haven't said this is valuable to you because of these reasons, and talk about the benefits of it. That's always been a problem, but even more so now, because all they've got is online, and they're still trying to use the old tripe they used to use in the old days of newspaper advertising in 1920.
Yeah.
Where people knew what they wanted and could work it out for themselves. It needs spelling out, and that value is important. What would you say? There's one of our members has got a terrific sign on the corner of a very, very busy intersection. And it's a cow of a corner. It's got 5 ways on it. And it says, we can't fix bad traffic, but we can fix bad IT, right above the stoplights. It's a terrific little piece. How would you help them work through their value? Let's say it's me. Let's say I'm the bloke with the helping IT. What questions would you ask me to help me think through the value for my sales staff, particularly?
Yes, that's a good case study. So when you're looking at, so what's the valuable thing that I can offer, and what is the valuable thing I can offer right now? So if it's in terms of being able to provide IT, I think it'd be asking, if you just sort of went to your usual off-the-shelf products, it's like, hold on, is this what people need right now? If everyone is working from home all of a sudden, what is going to be the tips and tools that they need to navigate? If people are moving back into the office, what are the different strategies that they're going to need for that? And that's where you put your emphasis on. Maybe, and I quite like, maybe you could create some training that goes around that. Maybe there's training that wasn't required before, but is now, and that might be something that you could create. Maybe there's a new way of doing something altogether, so that it's like, okay, well, maybe there's an extra step or an extra product offering, an additional piece that you offer. And the other thing could be, maybe there's even a collaboration with someone else that might be more meaningful now than it was previously. So if you were, again, I don't know if it's like sort of the hardware IT of helping people set up their office, or if it's more like, how to understand the cloud. So I'm not exactly sure on the specifics of the business, but it could be that maybe there's a great collaboration. Like maybe if there is a need that your clients have right now, but you don't offer that actual service, maybe if you collaborated with someone else, then actually you're expanding your market and you're also providing more value to your clients. So collaboration is also a really useful tool for looking at value.
Yes, we heard from Jerry Crockford some time ago about working with a remote team or managing your remote team, and he surprised himself by finding that the biggest problem they faced was several people in the team working on the same file, and that didn't happen in the office because they'd say, who's working on Jim Bob's whiskey? And somebody would say that, oh, sorry, I just started changing that. You could have a chat. But nobody did that online, and they found they had to upload all their stuff. It took them several weeks to get it all going. That would be a place where you could point out the value in this particular member's business, that we can prevent that kind of overlap, and we could set up a distribution process inside the cloud. That's the word you used. So we talked about value enough, and move on to identity.
So, well, let me just finish off the value piece, because I think when it comes to value, once you have, and I guess the first part is that asking the question, and then the second part is the telling. So once you know what your value is, what your clients need right now, that's where we really focus in on telling the story of the value. So could you, and like if it was their IT business, for example, what are the different social posts that they could be putting out? It could be about, because again, I talk a lot about online. It could be, what's the one thing you can do to support your customers this week, and doing some social posts on that. Could you be sharing some insights of what you've learned as a business during this time? Could you be creating a short drip seed video of like what you're offering right now, how things have changed? So looking at different ways that you could tell the story of the value. If everyone's doing podcasts like you're doing, so could you create a podcast? Another one that I love, which is really easy to do, and I love to give this as a suggestion, is something even like a live. So Facebook Live, Instagram Live, LinkedIn Live, you pick your channel, but it's a really nice way that you could be, let's say on a Monday morning at 10 o'clock, you do the coffee run. It's like the coffee chat. Let's see, an alliteration for computer coffee chat or something, 10 o'clock. Every morning, you're going to switch on the camera or pick up the phone to film it. You could even do it via Zoom. There's a little button which says Facebook Live, and all you're doing is giving a quick tip. And just that over time means that you're constantly creating content. It means that your brand is out there. It means you're the go-to person or brand in that space. And you're just really starting to build your profile. And what does that do? It helps you get known for your expertise. It means you build credibility. And it means when someone comes to that purchasing decision, they're like, oh, I should choose ... So yeah, that's an idea of telling the story of the value.
Yes,
just as a way there.
It raises it raises several questions. It always raises questions for me because my background as a television producer and presenter and making training videos over these decades goes back to something that Kerry Packer used to say to his newsreaders and to his on-the-road warriors. He'd say, "You don't appear in my customers' lounge rooms without a tie. You look professional." Well, I grew up in that kind of school where you always had this kind of image, the one I've got on the right of screen, the one you've got on the left of screen, where you look neat, controlled and managed. And that appeals to me. In a way, it doesn't appeal to me to see Joe Blow, the manager of a corporate business or an IT business, wandering around with his mobile up here going blah, 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 blah. Oops, excuse me, madam, blah, 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 blah. Oh, drop that. And that looks corny and homemade to me. But the rest of the world has become used to that and has looked past the corny amateur video and is more happy with the content. And that's what you're saying we need to get over. Be aware of the fact that we are presenting value in whatever format, as long as we're presenting value. We don't have to be too precious about our brand image. Am I on that?
Yeah, well, it kind of neatly ties into coming into the I, which is around identity, which is your brand identity. So it's sort of the brand identity is that perception that you're trying to create. It's that, it's particularly if it's online, it's that digital first impression and how is it distinctive? How is it memorable? How does it catch attention? And what you're saying, what I hear you say, Colin, is that you're creating an image and it is a professional image. And what you're seeing is something that's unprofessional and does that jar. And what I would say in this online world is we're sort of in this quest for, the buzzword is authenticity. And I always think authenticity is a funny word because when I go to a doctor, I don't want them to be their authentic self. I need them to be the doctor. I need them to play that role to give me that perception. What we do want, though, is connection. And I think if you can still carry through the professionalism, whether that's in terms of your look and feel, whether that's your branding, whether you do have some lovely, nice, beautifully shot corporate videos, if you layer into that some of the realness, that gets great engagement. So what I mean by that is if you were able to, if you did do the occasional video, which was more like, I'm just sitting here. It used to be in the airport, but now it might be, I'm just sitting here in my lounge room, just had a cup of coffee, just jumped off a Zoom call. And I just want to share with you, the top 3 things that I learned, which will help you with your IT, with your haircut, with your, whatever your product or service. And I just can't miss this opportunity to share this. And so you just deliver a quick to camera piece. And you put that up online. It's almost like, this is a bit of a challenge. If you personally, listener or Colin, do this in the next 24 hours, see what happens when you put up that rough, ready, real stuff. Your engagement, I promise you, will go through the roof. So it's actually this, we just love that sort of as it happens, especially in this age where, you might see someone walking across the back of the screen or, that's
yes, indeed.
Real life.
I have another contact who regularly puts out his 5 Friday fails, and he openly declares the 5 dumb things he did that week, whether it's a fight with his wife, whether it's an argument with his 12-year-old son about the rabbits, whether it's something he said to a customer. And he is so real. There's no way he can put across the idea that he's walking around with the broom stuck up his shirt. He's absolutely authentic. And what was the other word you used? Connectedness, was it? Connection?
Yeah, connection.
Yeah. I love that.
And actually, if you want a bit of the, I'm good mates with a friend called Russell Pearson, and he's like a marketing guru. He's in Australia. He was, I know him from the speaker world as well, a good mate of mine. We always love talking about marketing stuff. And he was telling me that, so you think about a Facebook feed or LinkedIn, as you scroll through it, those videos that, maybe you record literally sitting outside your house with like a tree in front of you, or walking down the street, or walking through the hallway, because they look so different, they actually catch the eye. So it does serve a purpose in attracting people, catching people. So that might be also versus a glossy one, which we're sort of used to seeing, and we kind of tune those out, whereas we will capture attention for some of those. So I think, and what he and I was on his podcast and we were talking about, just experiment, give it a try, be curious, see what happens. So, yeah.
I can see
and
the
I think,
difference.
yeah.
I can see the difference for not a funeral director of, what do they call them? A director of aged care.
Yes.
Would normally put out a video on his or her website that says, at Happy Glades Retirement Village, everyone is cared for with the utmost love and the implantation of care. Pause, look into the camera.
Yes.
Picture of people eating, being walked through the garden. And we used to say that was authentic and real. And I've produced hundreds of those videos for clients and corporations. But somehow it strikes me from what you're saying, and it's just hitting me, that something around this era has made us say, yeah, that's okay, but really love it when the director is in his shirt, no tie, bending down with Maisie at her 90th birthday, and the video begins and he says, this is Maisie. She's 90 today and she's been with us for 15 years. And you might have thought at 75 she shouldn't have come into aged care, but she had a hip problem. She was on her own and she wasn't very happy. And, well, Maisie, how do you feel now? I've had the loveliest time and it's been beautiful living here, and I've got a lovely unit with roses, and you're a nice man too. So are you, Maisie. I want you to come and visit us sometime. Now, hopeless as that was as an illustration, there's something warmer and more real about that connected, authentic video, isn't there? And that message, not polished, but it, as you say, it goes bah and arrests you.
Yeah, but make no mistake, I say a but there, and make no mistake, I love to, there's a great quote by Gary Vaynerchuk that says you want to be the star and the producer. So the better you can get at the technical side. So if you're going to hold up that camera and do a quick video, if it's there shaking, it's not good vision for anybody. So it's still being able to capture those ad hoc natural moments. And let's say if you had a microphone or if you had a clear hand, or, you know, that's going to make it even better. So your television producer side still comes in. So the best you can make those sort of as it happened moments look will also help increase your viewership, which is why, again, I hesitate to say authentic. So it's all about the message and the method.
Great. The P. The purpose
P
of doing all this, and you've led perfectly into the idea of the purpose. And thank you for allowing the television producer to still have his day. And I do think that's important. There are some ways you can make a video look authentic by having a little bug microphone for $19, $29 off eBay, by even having a gimbal to hold it, or somebody else, or stick it on a chair and make it clear from there. Anyway, let's go on to purpose.
That's right. So purpose. And I think this is about, you know, this has been a hard couple of years. There's so many things to distract us. Really, it's about how do we move with purpose? What are some of the things that are going to help us to step out and to keep taking the next step and the next step? And so for this, I would say, well, first of all, do you have a purpose? Do you know where you're going? That would be my first one. Is sometimes it's just that recheck. Okay, you know, my plan from last year is updated. So where am I trying to go now? And to that end is, do you have a plan? So we mentioned this last time, like actually having a plan. You know, sometimes when I do 12-month planning, you know, comms plans with clients, I always like to just keep it on one page. You know, you just want to keep it simple. It's just helping you decide which way you're going and keeping it simple. So know your purpose, follow a plan, get a buddy. You know, these sorts of things about getting known, growing your business online. And I'm sure you do this through your programs, if you can have someone else where you can be accountable, it's a game changer. Because you think about, if I was to get up and say, I'm going to go for a jog at 6 a.m. tomorrow. If I've got a friend meeting me at 6 a.m. tomorrow, you can be sure I'm going to be there. But if it's by myself, it's 50-50. So having a buddy makes, and then the final one would be just do it, and I said this last time, what are the two little words that are most important, and they are to show up, or in the Nike swoosh language is just do it. So if you never take action, you will never be known. So it's just taking that first step. What's the next thing I need to do? Okay, this is so overwhelming. I'm just going to take up Kirryn's challenge. I'm going to record a video. I'm going to post it. Okay, that worked. Okay, the next step, I'm going to create maybe something which is a promotion. Okay, right, got that. Next step, so just do it. Just start taking action. Stop thinking about it. Just do it. So that would be my things. Know your purpose, follow a plan, get a buddy, and just do it. That would be my P.
Tell me those P's, the P again, because there's a few little subheadings in there. Purpose.
Yeah. So know your purpose, like where are you going? Have a plan, get a buddy, and then just do it. I feel like this is definitely like an exercise metaphor related to this one.
It is. Look, we could talk for ages, and people want to get in touch with you. So tell us how to reach you. Show us your book again. Yes.
For those of you who are watching, here's my book. It's all, for those of you who are listening, it's got a whole bunch of umbrellas on a beach and one yellow umbrella. I'm a mad travel junkie, which has been very distressing over the last little while. And the album cover, the book cover was came up with it while I was in Mykonos in Greece. And so really it's about how do you stand out, and how do you stand out without selling out on what it is that makes you unique. And how to do that online. And this book is basically all of the workshops that I teach I put into one book, and it's a do-it-yourself guide to be able to help you work out all those things, knowing who you are, your identity, knowing how to articulate your value and tell the story of that value, and the purpose, so how to put it into action. And there's lots of really useful things that can help you do that online. But the best way to connect with me would be just go to my website, which is KirrynZerna.com. So KirrynZerna.com, and you can find me. My main social tools is LinkedIn and Instagram, and I'd love to connect with you there.
Great. Where do we get the book?
The book, it's on my website. So it's on Amazon and also on my website. You can get the book there, KirrynZerna.com/book.
Thank you very, very much. And I hope that people contact you, because you've got so much to give and so much to work with. And it's the wonderful thing I sense is it's not just in a few words or in a little podcast. You actually like to get down and intimate with the people who are going to make the progress and get themselves known, and help them and coach them through that, don't you?
Yeah, so certainly love to. I've run a number of programs and different things where people can get involved, and we work through this together. So a bit like, the physical, the metaphor of boot camp. So how do you get together, work with people, work in a program so that you can actually put that passion into action, which is the P, the purpose, and to help people in that way as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Kirryn. Will you, for listeners, will you please, if you're listening on iTunes, download this episode and play it again. Subscribe to the podcast in iTunes or whatever your favourite app is. And certainly on YouTube, as you're watching, will you also make a little comment there, because it does help the reviewers, and somebody in need may find this and then find Kirryn extraordinarily helpful. You've been listening to the Be So Good podcast, and this is the woman who says, be so good, they can't ignore you. Isn't that the truth, Kirryn?
That's right. That's right. And, you know, it's whether this is for your professional life or your personal life, I think each of us have something to say or share or sell. And so it's a great opportunity to just use the tools about how do you get known, how do you grow, so that you can influence people in your area of the world.
Hey, thank you for being with us, and all the best to you from here on.
Thank you, Colin, and thanks to all your listeners, and I look forward to staying in touch.
You've been listening to Be So Good with Colin Pierce. For more episodes, check the playlist at colinpierce.com/podcast. And don't forget to drop a review in the iTunes listing.